All right. Man, I am excited about this one because this one is my mid-year top albums of 2025. So these are my favorite releases from 2025 so far this year. We're in the middle of the year. We made it halfway through. Holy shit, how much crazier can it get? I don't know, but we'll see. So, yeah, I'm gonna get right into it. I'm just gonna get right into my favorite album of the year so far, and that is "The Carter Six" by Lil Wayne. No, I'm just kidding. That album sucks ass. What a disappointment. What a disappointment that album is, will forever be. No, I'm not actually doing this in any particular order. I don't want to put them in order quite yet. So I'm just going to give them to you kind of by genre, my favorite albums of each genre of this year so far. So I'm going to start out with rock albums, my favorite rock albums of this year. First one I'm going to talk about is Car Seat Headrest's new album, The Scholars. Yeah, man. I wanted to talk about this as soon as it came out, but I knew it was going to, as soon as I listened to it, I knew it was going to make this list. So I wanted to kind of wait and just talk about it now because I try to talk about albums just once or twice, not go over them over and over again. So, yeah, I've been listening to Car Seat Headrest for like 10 years now. It started with the album Teens of Denial back in college. That was the first album that I heard by them. It kind of blew up back then, at least for, indie rock fans. And it's a great alternative rock with more punk tones to it. That, great album. And then they put out Twin Fantasy as well after that. And then they put out another album after that they kind of changed their sound quite a bit and went into a interesting, like, synth rock sound that I still did like, but it didn't quite, I don't think anybody really quite liked it as much as the previous two. And there's even a couple albums before that, but Teens of Denial was the big one and, might still be my favorite. But yeah, I listened to that one a bunch. I've seen them live as well. They're amazing live. And so Will Toledo is the main writer and singer, and he writes these great sarcastic lyrics, kind of funny, matter-of-fact things about his life, and just presents them in such a funny way, I find. And I also love his voice, and how he layers his voice on top to harmonize a bit. And his voice is interesting. It's not quite great, I guess. I don't know. But his voice gives me Julian Casablancas from The Strokes vibes. He sounds like that. A little bit like Weezer as well. I'd say his, so if you like those kind of singers, I think you'll enjoy his voice as well. And so, like I said, most of their stuff is alternative rock with a little bit more punk tones happening in there. This new album, they do that as well, but they get a little more creative with their sound. There's more percussion. There's more use of various instruments. There's some piano, keys, synths, 12-string guitar, noticeably. I love the use of 12-string guitar in here. It's awesome. The first song displays all of this and is so good. Oh, man. The first track on this album is one of my favorite songs from them in general. And it's a journey, and the whole album is a journey from start to finish. This album, to me, really feels like a rock opera. And that's one of my favorite things about it, is it brings me back to the rock opera albums like Tommy and Quadrophenia, albums by The Who, where the songs are kind of long and there's like several songs in one. It reminded me of some of the songs reminded me of like Jesus of Suburbia off American Idiot, and there's another song off that album too that is like five different songs in one, and it's just a long song. Even like Rush on 2112, where the first song is just a bunch of songs put together, and it's listed that way on the album, but it's really like a 20-minute song or whatever. So my recommendation on this one is to just put it on and not really pay that much attention to which song you're on. Just let it play. And if it is long, so I will say that it's kind of like two parts as well. It feels like two acts of a play or an opera, as I've been describing. And the first act, I find, ends at the song Gethsemane. I'm not exactly sure how you say that, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. And this end of what I'm calling the first act honestly could be a solid end to the whole album in general, because it ends with this you can love again if you try again, this declaration that comes back towards the end. And I feel like it's kind of a concept of the album. And it comes back again after this 18-minute epic song, after another one before that too. So the second act, I find, is actually only two songs. I'm sorry if this is confusing, but it that reoccurring theme of you can love again if you try again comes back after that 18-minute song that has a bunch of songs in it. And then it ends with a short song. So the final song on the album is a short song, and it feels like the credits of a movie or whatever. That's how I feel it is. The thing about this is, I'm going to recommend something kind of interesting. I actually like to start this album with the last song and kind of make it more of an opening credits instead of a final credits, because I like the final song so much that sometimes I don't make it to that, because it is like an hour and 10-minute album, and I just don't make it to that last song, and I want to hear it. So I actually start it with the last song as like an opening credits song, and then I let it play. And if I just wanted to end after the first act, after Gethsemane, that's a perfectly great album right there. And so you could do that. You don't have to get to the last two because they are a little drawn out. So that's kind of my recommendation. It is a solid album from start to finish, in my opinion. But I understand that, it's a little daunting, a little long one. So if you start from that last song and let it play to Gethsemane, see how you like it. But yeah, car seat headrest, the Scholars. I know I described that for a while, but I really think this album is something special. Yeah. So, all right, moving on. Another great rock album, one of my favorites from this year, is Never Enough by Turnstile. I actually just had it on before I was recording this. And this is like a hardcore album, kind of punk and hardcore, but with this dreamy sound mixed in and this indie rock parts to it as well. And this thing is so catchy, super catchy. After a few listens, every song has been stuck in my head. I don't even know which one at times. Just the whole thing is stuck in my head. And I will say, at first, I didn't get the hype about this album, because this actually, they're becoming really popular, Turnstile. And I didn't get it because there's nothing particularly impressive instrumentally that I thought, listening to it for the first couple times. I'm like, okay, what's this all about? But I think what it is that they mix genres so well, and the sound itself is just catching me. It's they really found a way to mix all these genres in a great subtle way that works. Um, and I feel like it's been all the genres I've been listening to this year, except hip hop, I will say. It's all these genres blended into one. It's indie rock, it's hardcore, a little punk, even electronic at times. Yeah, just crazy mix of genres. And so they started out as a hardcore band, and I went back and I listened to some of those too, and it just felt kind of like some basic hardcore stuff. So I think they really found their sound by mixing in the other genres, and they started doing this with the album before this one called Mystery, and they switched, to this dreamy indie rock but heavy vibe. And I really like that album as well. I think Mystery and this new one, Never Enough, listen to both of those. Both of them, they're almost like a part one and part two, the way I feel about them. And it gives me Incubus vibes, where it goes from like a mellow psychedelic and then turns into a distorted rock riff. So kind of straightforward chords, but get you hyped. Yeah, I would. Incubus is kind of what I'm most comparing it to, I guess. But they really have developed their own sound. This is really cool stuff. I didn't think it would make my list, but the more I listen to it, the more I like it. Yeah, this album, Never Enough by Turnstile, great. And all right, my last, kind of on the more rockin' side, is Phantom Island by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Man, King Gizzard is back again. And King Gizzard, I've talked about them before. They do all kinds of albums. They put out at least one album a year, often more than that. And I've enjoyed everything that they have put out. They are amazing musicians. There's a bunch of people in the band, so you're getting a big, full sound. And on this new one, they're using strings and horns for the first time. I haven't heard them use it like this before. And I feel like this sounds like a mix of their last album, Flight B741, and the folk album that they've done in the past. They've done all kinds of stuff. They've done an electronic album. They've done two thrash metal albums, blues rock, folk rock, psychedelic rock. I mean, they're all over the place with their music. And this one is like an indie rock, kind of classic rock feel to it, kind of psychedelic as well. And then they throw flute in there and strings and horns. And it's hard to know who to compare this to. I mean, they really have their own sound and blend of stuff. I feel like at times it kind of reminds me of Edgar Winter Group, or maybe Steely Dan, or maybe even Peter Frampton a little bit. But yeah, they nailed it again with this album. The first two songs had me blown away. As soon as I heard them, I immediately sent it to people. And I will say, the first couple songs blew me away so much that I feel like the rest of the album kind of came down a bit from there. But the rest of the album is really cool too. Like Silent Spirit is great. Eternal Revenue is a great song. It's all good. I like everything they do. Yeah, King Gizzard did it again. Yeah, and I'm putting this on around people as well. It has a good chilling at the house on a sunny day vibe. Yeah. So that's Phantom Island by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. All right. So I got a lot of albums to go through. I realize I'm already almost 15 minutes in, but here we go. So I'll scoot through the ones I've already talked about on previous episodes. But yeah, this album, Sinister Grift by Panda Bear, has made my list for sure. If you listen to the episode where I talk about it, you probably knew it would make my list. Yeah, I love this album. Um, Panda Bears from Animal Collective, and this album sounds like Beach Boys mixed with Tame Impala. It's gorgeous. The vocals, beautiful harmonies, beautiful instrumentation with an electronic feel to it. Yeah, wonderful album. Sinister Grift by Panda Bear. I'll just leave it at that. Another one that I talked about on another episode is Forever Howlong by Black Country New Road. And as I mentioned on the previous episode, this is like a folk indie rock album. And Black Country New Road was a little heavier, more alternative rock on their past albums. But they had a male singer. This time they have a female singer, and they've gone for more of a folky indie rock sound. The singer is awesome. She sounds like Joan Baez, kind of. Yeah, I love this album a bunch. Yeah, Forever How Long by Black Country New Road. So yeah, I just wanted to move quickly through those because I've already talked about them. All right, I'm getting in now to my favorite hip-hop albums of the year. And so this one is Saba and No ID, the private collection of Saba and No ID. And I can tell you this is my wife's favorite hip-hop album of the year so far because she will not stop playing this. And I love that because it's really great. I mean, it is soulful, with features from singers BJ the Chicago Kid and Aaron Allen Kane, Raphael Sadiq, Kelly Rowland, from Destiny's Child, Smino. I love Smino. If you don't know Smino, oh my God. So yeah, the features are great on here. No ID brings an old school soul sample beat feel, but with modern, almost trap production too. It's like a perfect blend of old school and modern. The production is fantastic. So each beat is a perfect mix of that stuff and variety of sounding beats. Saba has all kinds of flows, even incorporating some singing into the rap style. And I will say, this is so catchy. I had so many of these stuck in my head. For example, woes of the world, everything a woe in the world. That one was stuck in my head too. And then, the first song just gets stuck in here. He goes, lovely day to go out my way. Think of you every minute day. Think about everything. And I think he says like, ugly but otherwise I'm fine. And it's just, man, he's just flowing on it melodically and rapping melodically and catchy. And, man, this album's just great. This will put you in a good mood. With some real, good lyrics too and stuff. Yeah, that's Saba and No ID. The album's called Private Collections of Saba and No ID. All right, on to this one, man. McKinley Dixon came out with an album called Magic Alive, and this album absolutely blew my mind. This is true jazz rap, and that's kind of been McKinley Dixon's style. He has another one called Beloved Jazz Paradise, and another one, I can't remember the exact name, but it's like For Your Mom or something. But this one especially, this is probably my favorite one by him, and it's live band production. So real drums, real bass, real everything. It's a live band. I don't know who he has on this, but they're incredible. The drums are doing incredible things. There are horns all throughout, and of course the bass lines are just so jazzy and cool and unique. And the rapping is stellar. Amazing features, especially from two of my personal favorites, Quelle Chris and Blue. I've talked about Blue on quite a bit. He made my top albums of 2024 last year. And I don't know if I've talked about Quelle Chris, but I love Quelle Chris. Go check him out. Innocent Country 2 is one of my favorite albums. I have it on vinyl. Yeah, Quelly Chris is the man. This album, Magic Alive, is also a conceptual album, and it's subtle, but the concept is about a group of friends who try to bring another friend back from the dead through magic or voodoo or whatever. And it's touching on a lot of thoughts of like what happens when you die, and is it connected? Are they out there? Where do they go? Can we bring them back? And then also just being grateful for being alive, like the song We Outside, Rejoice, Rejoice. And man, that song is beautiful too. And the concept isn't obvious, but with each listen, I catch more lines about it. And McKinley is just flowing. He sounds great. He's got great lyrics. And yeah, like I said, each time I listen to it, I'm picking up more and more, which makes it a fun listen. Yeah, this is an incredible album. Magic Alive by McKinley Dixon. I know Josh is digging it. I know Sean's digging it too. Man, this album's stellar. Okay. Another stellar album, also with live band production. You know, I gotta say, hey man, if there's anybody out there who's like, oh, hip-hop's not real music, they don't use, real instruments or whatever, well, you know what? You're wrong. Because there's a bunch of live band production out there. Odyssey does, But anyway, this one is Little Simz' new album called Lotus. And Little Simz is a British rapper. Like I said, the production's all live band production. The drums are amazing and just bass lines for days. And that's kind of how her style is for the most part. But she's very introspective, as always. She's got some scathing songs on here, pointed at an ex-boyfriend on one of them, I think, and then another one pointed at someone in the music industry who I think screwed her over. And just conceptual raps. I love this, where you pick a topic and you're talking about it. It's not just a bunch of random stuff you threw together. She's sticking on a topic. And the song Lonely touches on how she is feeling with the success that she has and how it can somewhat be isolating. Really, really cool one. But probably the most conceptual that I want to point out and introspective is a song called Blood. I haven't heard a song like this before. It's a song where it's a phone call between her and her brother. It's not a skit, so they are rapping, and she has a rapper on there who's not her brother, but, so they're rapping with rhymes. Her brother is played by Wretch32, I believe, and the concept is her and her brother haven't talked in a while, and they harness some resentment and have some differences and have gotten caught up in different things, and they've both had to be there for their mother, though, through different stages of their life. And it comes to this close that the brother called because he needed a friend and he wanted to talk to her. They get kind of hyped up and they get mad at each other. And then he kind of just admits, like, look, I just called you because I needed a friend. And it presents it in that way to kind of show that they'll always be there for each other, because they are blood. Now, I know that's not always the case, but in this case it is, and I thought that was really a great, incredible concept and incredible song, really, yeah. The features on here are really cool, too. I always like when she has the singer Abong JR, if I'm saying that right. She's used him before, and it's always a catchy hook. It's always just like, ooh, this is a vibe, damn. And she also has Michael Kiwanuka on here as well with a catchy hook. Great production. Yeah, amazing album from Lil Simz. Again, she did it again. She doesn't miss. She really doesn't miss. I swear to God. Yeah, that one's called Lotus. All right, and so another one that's on my list, I mentioned it earlier on a previous one, so I'll go quickly through it, is Satisfied Soul by Brother Ali. Yeah, man, Brother Ali is the most underrated rapper out there, probably. This guy is incredible. Conceptual songs, amazing rhyme schemes, and the production on this is done by Ant from Atmosphere. Great production, great concepts. The majority of it is clean too. Brother Ali's a pretty clean rapper too. Positive messages, being a good person, fabulous. I kind of want to buy this one on vinyl. Not gonna lie, Brother Ali needs all the support. He's the fucking man. All right, that one's called Satisfied Soul. I've talked about it a little bit before, so go back and check out another episode if you want to hear about that one a little more. Another one that I talked about on a previous episode is called Burning Desire by Mike. And as I mentioned before, Mike is super laid back and just crazy rhyme schemes, kind of like an MF Doom or an Earl Sweatshirt. And he does a lot of his own production. And on this one and a lot of his albums, they're very short songs. They're like 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. So you get a bunch of styles of production. You get a bunch of beats, a bunch of flows. I mean, he gives you such a variety on this that it's just such a fun listen. And I love the style of production. I really love the style of production and his laid back flow. Man, I could put this on and just vibe. Just vibe. I love this. Kind of weird production too. Very unique. I like that about it. Yeah. So that one's Burning Desire by Mike. All right. So those are my favorite hip hop albums of the year so far. Look, there's quite a few coming out that I'm interested to hear though. Clips is dropping on July 11th. Clips, that's, Pusha T, Malice, and Pharrell Williams, the group from, early 2000s. Coming back with an album, first album in 16 years. I'm very excited to hear that. Apparently Chance the Rapper is going to drop in July as well. That's pretty exciting. I got hopes for that because his last album sucked ass. So hopefully he comes back something better. And I think J. Cole might be dropping this year too. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to a lot of those. But I want to get into the jazz realm. A couple of my favorite jazz albums. Bela Fleck came out with this album. So Bela Fleck is a banjo player, but Bela Fleck and the Flecktones is probably his most popular project or band. They put out several projects, and that's Victor Wooten on bass. And so it's like a banjo but bass heavy, funky, bluegrassy sound, very unique. And as always, he's just changing jazz. He just makes it completely different, just genre blending, fusion stuff. And on this one, he's collaborating with 2 Latin artists. And so this is like Latin jazz banjo music. And the album's called BEATrio. I didn't write down the names of the other guys, but check this out. Man, as soon as I heard this, I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite albums of the year. Easily. This is incredible. And I've been playing the hell out of it around the house. I'll just put it on, let it repeat, let it play. Whoever's over, everybody thinks it's kind of cool. So, yeah. That's pretty much all I got to say about it. This is incredible stuff. Incredible musicianship. I love the blend of the genres. Who the hell's ever heard Latin banjo music, jazz banjo music before? It's crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, that's Bela Fleck with the album BEATrio. Another jazzy one is Letters from the Atlantic by Butcher Brown. And the best way to describe this is the word smooth. And Butcher Brown's music in general is just smooth. It is smooth and groovy, jazzy, hip hop style R&B. I know that's a lot, but that's what it is, and it kind of reminds me of like the backdrop of Erica Badu music, I would say. And but this is just drums, bass, and keys for days, just ripping. I mean, the drum lines on this, the little snare things that he throws in there, the bass lines that are in there, the key runs. There's some nice guitar throughout as well, a little bit of horns throughout. They have some R&B singers featured on here. A couple of rappers are featured on here. So nice variety of stuff going on, but it sticks with this laid back, spacey, groovy, smooth hip hop style jazz. And yeah, I just been throwing this on. This is gonna be my background music album of the year for sure. I will put this on anybody's over, dinner party, chilling. If I need something, I don't know what to put on, I'm putting this on. It's groovy, fabulous stuff. Butcher Brown in general, I love their last album. I love the album before that. Yeah, and this new one, they didn't disappoint. All right, so I'm just going to mention one more that is probably lower on my list, I guess, but I do think it's an extraordinary album. I'm not playing it as much as the rest of these, but it's an extraordinary album, and that is Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. And, I mean, the production on this is just insane. And his vocals are amazing on it. The variety of sounds that they give you on this, the journey that it takes you on, the dancey stuff, the vibey stuff, the even kind of hip hop stuff that's in it. This album is extraordinary. I can't say it's my favorite style of music, but I've been playing it, and I also just think it's truly well done. It might be like the most well done album of the year. Not that it's, like I said, that doesn't mean it's my favorite. It just means, wow, they really did it with this album. The production and the vocals and everything. Yeah, Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. I'm sure it's gonna win Grammys. Who gives a shit about that? But I just think, universally speaking, even for a snob like me, this is incredible. I mean, it really is. So, yeah, Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. It's got to make this list, I say. All right. And those are my top albums of the year so far. We're made it through the middle of the year. Like I said, there's a bunch coming out that I anticipate. So this list might change quite a bit, or, there's going to be a lot added to it. I think a lot of these will make my final list of the year as well, but, I'm very excited for a lot more to come out this year and a lot more music to listen to. And I hope you keep listening and checking out what I've been listening to, and, let me know what you've been listening to and what you like from this list. All right. Much love, y'all. Thank you.